What's up guys, welcome back to another Black Ops 5 video. In today's video we're going to be talking about all the latest rumors and leaks going around about this year's Call of Duty game rumored to be Black Ops 5. So we know that this year's Call of Duty game is going to be developed by Treyarch. We knew this around like June of last year from an article posted by Kotaku basically saying that there was a huge mess going around with Sledgehammer and Raven. They were supposed to be co-developing this year's game together, but they weren't getting along very well, and so Activision had to step in and they instead just canceled their game and instead made Treyarch the developer for this year's game, whereas Treyarch was supposed to be making next year's. So Treyarch is making this year's game, and Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software, they're both assisting Treyarch with this year's game. And then there's rumors that it's going to be Black Ops 5. I mean, that's the most logical solution. But today, we received rumors that it's not actually going to be a Black Ops 5. So apparently, there's been around like 50 names going around inside Treyarch and Activision about what this year's Call of Duty game is going to be called, between like Black Ops 5, Black Ops, Black Operations, Black Ops Reboot, all sorts of different stuff. There's even talk about it being called Call of Duty Vietnam. And a number of sources have also said that this year's game will encompass the entire Cold War. It'll take place during the entire Cold War era, and it will also have elements of Vietnam, because that is apparently kind of what the game Sledgehammer Games and Raven were making, was kind of more of a Vietnam game. And so apparently Treyarch is adapting a lot of that same material that Sledgehammer Games and Raven were working on into their game as well. So in a recent video posted by the Gaming Revolution, he talked about Call of Duty Vietnam specifically, and about some of the latest leaks and stuff that he has gotten and heard about. And he basically just kind of talks about the name, that leaks and stuff are saying that this year's game is going to be tying into the Black Ops universe. It's going to be a Black Ops game, but it's not going to be called Black Ops or like Black Ops 5. So it's going to have some other name, and that's where the name Call of Duty Vietnam comes from. So a lot of people are thinking it's going to be kind of similar to World War II, where World War II is just the name of like the entire war. Like World War II, that's a real war, obviously, but that's the name of the game. It's just World War II. I mean, previously we had like World at War, but this is just World War II, so it makes sense. Maybe they'll do Call of Duty Vietnam. I mean, it would also make sense, but I feel like they would kind of need to be able to tie it into the Black Ops universe somehow, because your average consumer is going to like go to a Walmart or GameStop or something and is going to see this on the shelves. They're going to see, oh, Call of Duty Vietnam, I don't know, maybe, might buy it, might not. Whereas if they went into the store and they saw Black Ops 5 or Black Ops or something like that, something connecting it to the Black Ops universe, they might be like, oh, it's another Black Ops game. Okay, so this is going to have zombies, and I like Black Ops games. Like, I really like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3 was alright, Black Ops 4 was kind of okay. So if it's like a Black Ops game, more people are inclined to buy it. And I've personally kind of had this issue ever since like Black Ops 3. I think Black Ops 3 definitely should not have been called Black Ops 3. I think Black Ops 4, absolutely. No, that one doesn't have nothing to do with the rest of the Black Ops universe besides like, oh yeah, no, Warzone, Blackout, and it's woods, and they like shoehorned some story in there that didn't really make sense, and they really tried to like connect it in just like the worst way possible. It really didn't connect at all or make sense, but it wasn't really even a Black Ops game. So I think for it to be called Black Ops 5, that's just way too far. I think even Black Ops 4 was like way too far. I even had this thought back with Black Ops 3. I was like, yeah, they shouldn't call it Black Ops 3, but they did. So it is apparently going to be called something else besides that. And as for reveals and teasers and stuff, this is usually about the time when we start getting teasers and reveals. Usually by this point, we've pretty much already had the reveal, and usually we've been getting these games teased like for a month or so before the actual reveal comes out, and here we are like a week away from May, and we haven't even gotten so much as a teaser yet. So people are saying that we're going to be starting to get teasers starting in May, and then the reveal is either going to be at the end of May or maybe early June. And they're even saying that this COVID-19 virus is actually delaying things. But as for if this game will actually be delayed this year, I posted a video about that already on my channel, so if you guys haven't checked that out, you guys should definitely go and do so. But we basically just talked about the possibility of Black Ops 5 being delayed this year because of all these different circumstances, from all, internally with like Treyarch being pushed up a year, and with Sledgehammer and Raven not getting along and all this different stuff, plus with the whole global pandemic and stuff too. It's a good possibility that the game could be delayed. I think If it will be delayed, I think it'll be delayed into November or December. I do not think it's likely for us to see an October release date, especially if we have not heard anything about it officially so far. Activision hasn't even officially confirmed that Treyarch is developing this year's game. Typically around like January or February, they announce like, oh yeah, Treyarch will be developing this year's AAA Call of Duty game. We're excited to reveal more details about it. That's typically what they'll say. They only said that, oh yeah, no, we're going to have another premium Call of Duty game coming out this year. They didn't discuss a studio or anything behind it. They just said, yeah, there's going to be another Call of Duty game coming out this year. But it's also supposed to be a cross-generational game as well, so it'll work on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, but it will also have a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and of course a PC version as well. So that could also throw kind of a wrench in things as well. Treyarch now has to develop for 5 different systems rather than just 3, so that could be kind of difficult. Plus, it might mean that these new consoles might not actually be getting utilized to their fullest. But today we also had a whole bunch of information coming from Jason Schreier. He previously worked at Kotaku, and now he actually works for Bloomberg. So he posted a bunch of information about this year's Call of Duty game and about like kind of reporting on some of these leaks and stuff. So one of his first tweets they actually put out was in response to an article he put out, basically discussing the entire state of the gaming industry and how this new COVID-19 virus is actually impacting things. A lot of games are getting delayed. There's even rumors like the PlayStation 5 will get delayed, all sorts of different things. But he says here that this fall, there's still most likely going to be major releases, including games like Call of Duty and EA Madden titles. And I feel like that's kind of a given. I mean, he does have some inside information and stuff too, but like I feel like a bunch of these huge AAA games that release yearly, it's a given that we're also still going to get one this year. But over on Twitter, somebody replied to him and said, you mentioned the fact that Call of Duty has released annually since 2005, with Treyarch having a shortened development cycle because of the Sledgehammer Raven issues. Do you think it's possible we don't get a release this year? He says, as of right now, it's still planned for fall, but nobody knows what's going to happen in the coming months. Also, I believe it was Long Sensation. He actually put out a tweet and somebody was asking him about if this year's game is going to get delayed and if we're even going to have a game this year. And he says there's about like a 50-50 chance of them actually just like not releasing it this year, instead of releasing it next year, just taking a year off. But back over on Twitter, somebody also asked him, what do you think then? A Vietnam title? And he says, yeah, Cold War Vietnam, I believe. So once again, lines up with all these things Game Revolution's been saying, as well as Long Sensation. And then another person asked him, would you happen to know any information about this year's Call of Duty title? It's leaked to be a Black Ops reboot, but I'm just curious as to what you've heard. And he says, I don't think it's a reboot. So this also lines up with what a lot of these leakers and sources have been saying, is that the game will be connected to the universe, but unlike what we've heard for the past like 10 months or something like that, it will not actually be a reboot. So it seems as though it's going to take place in the Black Ops universe, but it's not going to be a reboot of the original Black Ops. So I think this is actually kind of a good thing. I mean, Modern Warfare is supposed to be a reboot, but it's actually still kind of a prequel. It still ties into the original trilogy. So I think this is kind of what this game could be. It could be kind of like a spiritual reboot, take the series back to its roots, but not be like a reboot in the traditional sense. And then the last tweet he put out about this year's Call of Duty game is in response to somebody who asked, do you think/know if it's going to be part of the Black Ops series then? He says, I'm not a COD person, so I don't know anything about all the lore shenanigans or what it really means to be a Black Ops game, but one title I've heard thrown around a couple times is just COD Vietnam. As far as I know, it's part of the Black Ops series though, not sure. So this year's game, it's going to be a Black Ops game, but it's not going to be a reboot, but it's going to be taking place inside the same universe, which I think is good. I think the Black Ops universe could be fleshed out a whole lot more. I mean, even World at War is still connected to the Black Ops universe, technically. So you have World at War, Black Ops 1, 2, 3, 4, and now this new game. And I still think, like I said, there's a lot more they could do with this universe than kind of what they've shown. And I feel like the Cold War and Vietnam era kind of got passed over quite a bit within Black Ops 1. So it would be cool to kind of go back to this era and really explore a lot of historical events that happened, because I think that's another thing that will happen with this game, is we're going to explore a lot of things that actually happened throughout history. But then of course they're also going to like fictionalize a bunch of stuff as well. I mean, this is what happened with Modern Warfare, is they kind of took some real life elements and stuff and other stuff from like actual movies, but they all adapted it into one Call of Duty game into their own narrative. But this would be really cool. So Call of Duty Vietnam is currently the name floating around. That is not confirmed. That's not even leaked that will be the official name. But like I said, there's been about like 50 names being thrown around internally within Treyarch and Activision, between like Call of Duty Black Ops, Black Ops 5, Black Operations, Black Ops Reboot, and even COD Vietnam. So we're not exactly sure what it's going to be, but we're just gonna have to find out here real soon. As for the reveal, like I said, I think it's gonna happen sometime in May. That's when a lot of people are saying, but people are saying it was gonna happen in May like a couple months ago before all this stuff happened. So personally, I think we're gonna be getting teasers beginning in May, and then I think it's gonna be kind of similar to how Modern Warfare happened. Because Modern Warfare's reveal was actually at the very end of May. It was like one of the last few days of the month. So I think that might be the same thing would happen this year with this Black Ops game, is that we're going to be getting the reveal most likely, I would say, in June, but we could be getting the reveal at the end of this month. I wouldn't expect anything any sooner, maybe just some few little teasers and stuff, but no official reveal until later on in the month. That is going to do it for our video today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. There is a lot of information still out there about Call of Duty 2020, about Call of Duty Vietnam, this new Black Ops game, and all these leaks and stuff are going to be covered in another video coming up on my channel real soon. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel with notifications on if you haven't already. That you guys stay up to date with all these great videos. And if you guys are excited for this year's Call of Duty game, make sure you guys let me know by giving it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below. I'm personally really excited about it. I would love to see Blackout 2 and also for zombies to kind of return to its roots. Plus, I really enjoyed Black Ops 4's multiplayer when it first came out, so I feel like if they go back to boots on the ground and kind of stick to what made Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 multiplayer so successful, then they can really have a standout game this year. So that's going to do it for our video today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.